The walls whisper corn. The Wilkins family had lost a lot in the city. Michael's job at the firm dried up after a messy downsizing. Laura's boutique closed down within weeks of the pandemic. Their teenage daughter Emily fell in with the wrong crowd and was caught stealing, twice. Their youngest, Jake, barely spoke anymore. The city, Laura decided, was killing them. So they bought a house they couldn't believe they could afford. A 2-story white farmhouse in Iowa, isolated and ancient, miles from anything. The real estate listing had just a few words: vintage charm, needs love, perfect for families. The first time they saw it in person, the realtor's GPS gave out 5 miles from the house. They followed crude wooden signs nailed to fence posts, each one painted with a red arrow pointing deeper into nothing. Finally, they arrived. The house stood like a ghost, weather-worn, peeling, surrounded on all sides by a vast and endless cornfield that stretched past the horizon. It swayed like a golden sea, whispering under the wind. A crooked barn leaned nearby, its roof long since given up the fight with time. "This is it?" Emily asked, arms crossed. Jake just stared into the field. "It's watching," he whispered. Michael laughed nervously, tousling his son's hair. "It's corn, buddy." The first few days passed uneventfully. They unpacked, cleaned, opened windows to let the mustiness out. There was no Wi-Fi, but Laura said that was a good thing. Maybe we'll actually talk for once. But there were things they didn't notice at first. Jake began waking up in the middle of the night, staring into the darkness at corners of the room. He wouldn't say what he saw, only that he didn't like the breathing. One morning, Laura found him standing just inside the cornfield. No shoes, no jacket. He didn't seem cold. "I heard her humming," he said. "She wanted to show me her house." Laura looked but saw no one. Still, she put new locks on the doors. That same week, Emily came into the kitchen pale as a sheet. "There's something in the attic." They found raccoon droppings, scratched wood, a broken mirror face down on the floor. But it didn't explain the smell, like hot breath and soil, and the long black handprints smudged across the ceiling beam. It got worse quickly. At night, the scratching began in the walls. At first, it was soft, a light scraping like fingernails. Then it grew deeper, clawing, dragging. Emily began to sleep with headphones in, but even then she swore she heard it whispering her name through the static. Jake stopped using his words altogether. He only whispered now, quiet, fast strings of nonsense over and over. "The corn is not asleep, the corn is not asleep, the corn is not asleep." Michael started hearing things. He'd sit in the barn, pretending to work on repairs, but mostly trying to get away from the tension in the house. That's when he'd hear it, just outside the door, deep in the stalks, wet breathing, low, guttural chuckling, something brushing against the wood, like it was testing the edge. One day, he stepped outside with a flashlight, trying to prove it was nothing. The corn swallowed the light. The sound of the leaves rustling turned violent, urgent. He backed away fast. When he returned to the house, the kitchen clock had stopped. It hadn't just broken. The hands had melted, drooping down like they'd been in an oven. Then came the thing in the mirror. Emily screamed loud enough to bring the whole family running. She'd been brushing her teeth when the bathroom mirror fogged over, then cleared, showing a reflection behind her. A tall black figure with no eyes, just a jagged, grinning mouth full of teeth that didn't fit. But when she turned, no one was there, just the medicine cabinet wide open and Jake standing silently in the hallway. "You shouldn't have seen him," he said. That night, the whispers came from inside the walls. Not just scratching anymore. Voices, low, churning things that didn't speak in English, but still managed to say awful, cruel things. The walls throbbed. The floor vibrated like something large was crawling through the foundation. Laura tried to call for help. No signal. Michael tried to start the car. Dead battery. Emily tried to run, but the corn had grown. It towered above the house now. impossibly tall, 30 feet high and dense. The path to the road was gone. No matter how far they ran into the field, they ended up back at the porch. They were sealed in. On the 5th night, they found a new room. Jake led them to it, an old door behind the pantry shelves that none of them remembered. It led to a staircase spiraling down, deep beneath the house. The walls were made of rough earth, and the air was damp and hot like breath. At the bottom was a small circular chamber. In the center, a stone altar, carved with symbols none of them could read, and around it, corn husks, rotted animal bones, and finger-length black candles burned to stubs. Jake climbed the altar like it was his bed. "This is where the last family gave him a name," he said, smiling. Michael pulled him down. They ran, but it was too late. That night, the walls began to bleed. Dark streaks of thick black-red fluid ran from the corners, pooling on the floor. The house groaned under its own weight, like something was growing inside it. Emily found herself waking up in places she didn't fall asleep. At the foot of Jake's bed, crouched in the closet, or once standing outside in the corn with bare feet, and no memory of how she got there. Laura began talking in her sleep, not in her voice, not in any voice that should come from a human mouth. Then Michael disappeared. Gone. Vanished. No blood, no sign of struggle, just a single cornstalk growing from the center of the bed where he'd been sleeping. By morning, it was 6 feet tall. The final night, lightning flashed, revealing the silhouette of something massive crawling on the roof. The chimney cracked. Windows exploded inward. The voice in the walls grew loud enough to shake pictures off the walls. "The corn feeds the house feeds me." Laura tried to smother Jake, believing it was the only way to end it. But the walls reacted, flinging her across the room like a rag doll. Emily screamed, dragging Jake out the front door, but the ground outside had cracked open into black furrows, lined with writhing roots and twitching teeth. They were never seen again, except for one new story that surfaced 3 years later. Another young family, another cheap property listing. Same house, same field. And Jake, older now, smiling in the listing photo, hand resting gently on the shoulder of the family's daughter. They never left. They just became part of the walls,